Good morning, everyone. In the today's class, we are going to talk about a service called Route 53 in the AWS. What is the main purpose of Route 53 service? Route 53 service is used for DNS mapping. So mapping applications to the domain. We can map application URL to domain name using Route 53 service. So for example, daily we are using so many websites. We are accessing Gmail by using gmail.com. Similarly, we are accessing Facebook by using facebook.com. Now, similarly, I want to access our application by using ies.com. Okay, how to map our application to the domain name? To map our application to the domain name, there is a service called Route 53. What is the purpose of Route 53? Route 53 is used for DNS mapping. Okay, first let me take one static website. So we are having one static website. Okay, I have given the static website in GitHub repository. Let me go for GitHub. When we discussed about S3 bucket, we discussed about this static website. Okay, let me access that static website S3. Now S3 static website hosting content is available. This is my GitHub repository. In this repository, the content is available that is required for hosting one static website. Let me copy this URL. Now go here. Let me create one folder with a name called website. Now in this folder, currently we don't have any content. Let me clone my Git repository, git bash, git clone. It is public repository, so directly I can clone that repository. Okay, so the repository got cloned successfully. You can see index.html, error.html, and assets. Asset contain CSS, font, JS, and some bootstrap plugins also available. Open index.html with the browser. You can see that our website we are able to access. Now, currently this website is running in the local machine, local URL. With this local URL, only I can access this website within my system. So this is local URL for our website. Now, I want everybody to access my website. I want to make my website publicly accessible. To make our website publicly accessible, we will go for S3 service in the AWS. AWS S3 is available. In the S3, we have already seen how to create a bucket. I created a bucket in the S3, IES app.link. I have given the bucket name as IES app.link. .link is the extension for my website. Okay, in that I am going to upload objects. Objects we are going to upload in this. Now click on upload, go for add files. So we have the website files here. Where is those files? So the desktop website hosting. Now here index.html, error.html. Let me open the files. Files are available. Similarly, there is a folder, add the asset folder also. So that folder contains so many files, upload them. Once we have selected all these things, select it, then go to permission, provide public read access. I want everybody to access my website content. Then click on upload. There are so many files available in our website. That's why it is taking some time to upload. Yes, you can see those files got uploaded successfully. Total 2 MB data is uploaded to our bucket. Those are called as objects. Now go to properties. In the properties, there is an option called static website hosting. So already static website hosting is enabled. Index document I have given, error document also I have given. Click on save changes. Fine. When I click on this URL, the website is accessible. This is public URL. Anybody can access my website by using this S3 endpoint URL. Okay. So anyone from anywhere can access our website by using this URL. But what is the problem with the URL? This URL is very lengthy. People cannot remember this URL, and it is not good to share this URL with the public. Always we need to go for short URLs for our application. This short URL is called as domain name. Okay. Now I need to map this URL to a domain name so that people can access our application by using domain name. So to map our application to domain name, first we need to purchase the domain. So that is called domain mapping. We need to understand domain mapping. So in order to map our application to the domain name, the very first step, register domain based on extension. Okay, so you can go with .com extension, .in extension, .net, .org. Like that, there are several extensions are available. So first of all, you need to check domain availability. What domain you want? Is the domain available, or somebody already registered the domain? You need to check the domain availability. Once your domain, whatever the domain you need, that if the domain is available, register domain. So after registration completed, you need to pay bill amount to get domain activation. Okay, if you register the domain will not be activated. You need to pay the bill amount to activate the domain. Pay bill amount to activate domain. To activate a domain. Note, activation will take after payment. After payment, it will take 2 to 3 hours to get activated. So yesterday I have done the payment in the class. After 2 hours, my domain got activated. It will take 2 to 3 hours to get activated. Once the domain got activated, create record to map domain to application URL. So this is the process that we need to follow to map our application to the domain. Now here in the AWS, we are having a service called Route 53. My website is available in the AWS S3 bucket. Anybody can access my website by using this URL. But I don't want to give this URL to the public because this URL is not readable. Public users cannot remember this URL. So that's why I want to map this URL to a beautiful domain. So that's why here we are going to take, what is this? Rules. Someone changed the setting. Right now. So here, assume that this is my application. My application is having lengthy URL. Application is having lengthy URL. Now I want to map this application to a domain. I have already purchased a domain. The domain I have purchased, that is iesapp.link. The link extension I have taken because the cost is less, $5. Now user is going to access our application by using domain name. When user access our application by using domain name, that request, whatever is coming to our domain, that request should be redirected to our application URL. To redirect the request to the application URL, we are going to use Route 53 service as a mediator. Got it? Route 53 service we are going to use as a mediator to route the traffic which is coming to our domain. Now go to this Route 53 service here. Go to Route 53 service. In the Route 53 service, you can see the domains which are registered. Registered domains option is available. Registered domain option is available. You can see I have already registered one domain yesterday. If you want to register a new domain, you click on this button, you check for the domain name. For example, I want to go for HIS app. Click on search. hisapp.com is not available. .org $12, .com $13, .net $11. If I go for .link, then it will be available for $5. .link is the domain which is having less cost. You need to select the domain, proceed to checkout, select the license, how many years you want the domain, click on next, then provide your contact information, next, and click on submit. So when you click on the submit, domain will be activated? No. So domain is just registered. Once the domain is registered, you need to go to billing dashboard. In the billing dashboard, the payment invoice will be generated for that. Go to purchase orders or payments. Here, a bill will be, invoice will be generated for the domain. You need to complete the payment for that. Once payment is completed, it will take 2 to 3 hours to activate that domain. Once the domain got activated, you can map the domain. Right. Now go to Route 53 service. Yes, my domain is available. For every domain, one hosted zone will be available. Click on the hosted zone. Here, with the domain name, hosted zone will be available. Go to that hosted zone. By default, 2 records will be available with the name servers. These name servers are very, very important for the domain mapping. Don't delete these records. If you delete these records, your domain is not going to work. Now I need to create a record. Whenever a request comes to this domain, I want to redirect that request to my application URL. Where is our application available? Our application is available S3. S3 endpoint is available. Okay. S3 endpoint URL. I want to map the domain to S3 endpoint URL. Now go here, click on create record. For this record, I don't want any subdomain. I want to go for the main domain. Record type is A. Do you want to map the domain to IP address, or do you want to map the domain to particular resource in the AWS? If you want to map the domain to IP address, you can enter that IP address here. Okay. So then whenever you send the request to the domain, it will be redirected to that particular IP address. Now my application is available in the S3 bucket. So let's select the alias. When you select the alias, it is giving some options. Okay. Where you want to divert your traffic, route the traffic to. I want to route the traffic to S3 bucket endpoint. Okay. Here there is option alias to S3 endpoint. Where is our S3 endpoint? S3 bucket is created in the Mumbai region. Let us select the Mumbai. In the Mumbai, my bucket is available. You can see my bucket URL is coming here. I have selected the bucket URL. Remember, if you want to map your domain to S3 bucket, your bucket name should match with your domain name. My domain name is iesapp.link. That's why in the S3, I created the object. I created the bucket with the same name. What is the name? iesapp.link. Okay. So whatever the domain name you have, with the same domain name, you need to create the bucket also. Once it is done, then select this S3 endpoint URL, click on create record. With this, domain mapping is in progress. Go for the status. By default, status will be in the pending. Now, so we need to wait until that status got changed to in sync. Once our domain is mapped to that application endpoint URL, status will be updated here. Still it is showing as pending. Refresh. Now you can see the domain mapping status changed to in sync. Now, do I need to use this lengthy URL now? Not required. Go to browser, type iesapp.link. Now fine. So we are able to access our website by using our domain name. Now you can open your mobile. You can try to access that. You can open your mobile, open the browser, and you can try with this link now. If you want .com, then you can go for the .com domain. $13 you have to pay for that. $5 I paid. For that, I'm using .link domain. Is it accessible, guys? Yes. Now we are able to map our website to the domain name. Tomorrow in the company, who will do this operation? Not the developers. But remember, guys, 95% of the developers don't know how applications will be mapped to the domain, because developers will not get the chance to do this activity in the company. This activity will done by DevOps engineers. 99% of the developers don't know in the project once the code is committed to GitHub. Once whatever the code we have done, once we commit our code to the GitHub repository, how the code will be deployed, how our application will be deployed to the server, how our application will be mapped to the domain name, 99% of the developers don't know. Because in my company in the last 10 years, I did not get the chance to do the domain mapping, because they will not give that chance for the developers. They will give that chance to DevOps engineers. That too, very senior DevOps engineers will be available. DevOps architect will be available. Those people are going to perform this domain mapping in the project. Okay. But now here we understand how to map the application to domain mapping by using a service called Route 53 in the AWS. In the AWS, services are free, pay as you go. But only for the Route 53 service, you need to pay the money for the domain, then only you can use the domain. First you have to do the payment, then only you can use the domain. Okay. Now, if I want to unlink, if I want to remove the domain mapping, then simply I will go to hosted zone. I will delete the record. Whatever the record I have created, that record if I delete, then the domain is not going to redirect the traffic. Currently, the domain is mapped to the URL. So whatever the request, the customers, end users will be available. For end users, I will give the domain name. When end user access this domain URL, internally the Route 53 service will execute. The Route 53 service will route the traffic to this application URL. This application is running in the S3 bucket. Got it? Able to access the URL? Yes. Here I have taken .link extension. Why we are using .link extension? Less cost, $5. Okay, around 486 rupees bill got generated for that. If you go for a .com or a .net domain .org, $12, $13 is available. Whatever the $5 we paid, that is for 1 year access. After 1 year, again we need to go for the renewal, again $5. In the AWS, the domain we can register for minimum 1 year. Minimum 1 year, and maximum you can register for 10 years. After 10 years, again you need to go for the renewal. If I select the domain life as a 10 years, 10 into 5, $50 I have to pay, then 10 years that domain will be available with us. Every year we need to go for domain renewal. Got it? Fine, good. So with this, we understood some concepts in the AWS cloud. So we have seen what is Linux operating system. Can you guys tell me why we need to go for Linux OS? High security will be available, and Linux is multi-user operating system. Performance wise, security wise, Linux is far better than Windows. That's why we are using Linux in the real time. Now, if you want to use Linux machines, do you need to purchase those machines, or we can take machines from the AWS cloud? We can take machines from the AWS cloud. We are taking the Linux machine in the AWS cloud, and we are connecting to that Linux machine. How we can connect to the Linux machine? By using Mobile Extram and by using Putty. So some people will go for Mobile Extram and some people will go for Putty to connect with the Linux machine. And we have seen Linux commands, cat command, touch command, tail command, grep command, vi command. There are so many commands available in the Linux, right? So as a developer, we need to know tail command. Why we need to know the tail command? To check the logs of the application. So logs always will be added at the end of the file. Tail command will print the last 10 lines of the file. Okay. Now, can I find in which line exception available in the log file? By using grep command. I want to modify some configuration file in the Linux machine. VI. What is the command for editing the file? VI command. What is the package manager in the Linux? Package managers are used to install softwares in the Linux. If you want to install Java or if you want to install Maven or Git client, you need to go for package manager. Sudo yum install Java, sudo yum install Git Maven, like that. We have seen how to run our boot application in the Linux machine. Boot applications will be packaged as a jar file. So we need to run the jar file. Okay. Spring Boot application will have embedded server 8080 Tomcat that we need to enable in the security group. What is the security group in the AWS? What is security group in the AWS? Firewall protocol. If you want to connect with the Linux machine, 22 protocol we have to enable. If you want to access your Spring Boot application, 8080 we have to enable. If you want to access a database, 3306 we have to enable. Security groups are used to configure firewall security for the resources available in the AWS cloud. The next one, EC2 service. What is the purpose of EC2? EC2 is used for creating virtual machines in the AWS cloud. I want to run Jenkins. For Jenkins, we need one virtual machine. I want a Nexus repository. For that, we need one virtual machine. I need a SonarQube. For that, we need one virtual machine. I want to run the Docker. For that, we need one virtual machine. I want to run Kubernetes. For that, one virtual machine. I want to run the Tomcat server, one virtual machine. So I want to run the database for my application, one virtual machine. So many computers are required to set up our project in the real time. So instead of purchasing those computers, we can set up those computers in the AWS cloud by using a service called EC2 service. And the next one, RDS. What is the purpose of RDS? RDS is used to create relational database in the AWS cloud. So here, whatever the database that you want for your application, you no need to install the database, you no need to manage the database. Ready-made database is available in the AWS. By using RDS service, you can create Oracle database or you can create MySQL database and you can use the database in your project directly. Database security, database maintenance, database backup, everything will be taken care by AWS cloud. And the next one, S3 service is available. What is the purpose of S3? What is the purpose of S3? S3 stands for Simple Storage Service. If you want to store unlimited data in the AWS cloud, then you can go for S3. In the S3, we are going to create bucket. So inside one bucket, we can store multiple objects. Object means a file. Any file we can consider as a object. Right. And here S3, and we can perform static website hosting. Whatever the website you have, if that website is a static website, you can host that static website by using S3. And next one, IAM. What is the purpose of IAM? IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. In the AWS, two types of accounts will be available. One is called as root account. Second one is called as IAM account. Root account means it is a powerful account. Everybody can access that. Everything we can access in the AWS by using that root account. So we cannot access the root account in the company. Company will provide IAM account. Okay. In the IAM account, limited actions will be available. You will have limited permissions to perform in the AWS. Okay. Now, next one, Route 53. What is the purpose of Route 53? Route 53 is used for DNS mapping. So application should be mapped to domain name. That can be done by using Route 53 service in the AWS cloud. So this is what we have learned as part of Linux and AWS. For every developer, cloud computing knowledge is mandatory because nowadays in every company, they are using cloud services to manage the infrastructure. 6-7 years back, people used to go with on-premises infrastructure. What is the meaning of on-premises infrastructure? Company should purchase everything. Company should manage everything. Lot of money is required and a lot of maintenance is required. To avoid that maintenance problem, we are going with the cloud computing. So there are so many cloud platforms available in the market. AWS cloud, Azure cloud, GCP cloud is available. So now we not complete AWS, guys. How much knowledge is required for the developer? That much knowledge we have on the cloud. Tomorrow when you attend the interview, if somebody asks you what is cloud computing, you should not say I don't know. You should give some response about cloud computing. What is cloud computing? Anyone can answer? What is cloud computing? Come on, guys. What is cloud computing? Cloud computing is the process of delivering IT resources over the internet. Whatever the IT resources that we need, whatever the IT resources we need to run our company, to run our project. Okay. Those infrastructure that we are going to take for rent from the cloud provider, that is called cloud computing. The process of delivering IT resources over the internet, that is called as cloud computing. Okay. So the process of delivering IT resources over the internet is called as cloud computing. What are the advantages of going with the cloud computing, guys? What are the advantages of going with cloud computing? Pay as you go. Do you need to pay anything for the AWS? No, you don't need to pay anything for the AWS. Okay. So here AWS is providing pay as you go. First you use the service, then you pay for the bill. Okay, fine. And second one, low cost. Cost is less. If you want to purchase the infrastructure, you have to spend crores of rupees. Whereas if you go for cloud, pay as you go. You use the service, then you pay for your usage. If you don't use, you no need to pay anything. And third advantage, scalability is available. What is the meaning of scalability? What is the meaning of scalability? You can increase the infrastructure, you can decrease the infrastructure based on the demand. That is called scalability. What is availability? What is availability? 24/7, 24/7, the resources will be available for accessing in the cloud. Okay. And third one, reliability. The robust infrastructure we are going to get from the cloud computing. The infrastructure is not going to fail. They are not going to give any errors because they are into business from last 17 years. Till today, nobody complained on the AWS cloud infrastructure. So with respect to security, with respect to availability, with respect to scalability, till today, no complaints on the AWS cloud. That much reliable infrastructure AWS is maintaining. Okay. And third advantage, security. So now I'm using database in the cloud. Do I need to bother about security of my database? Who is responsible? AWS cloud is responsible to provide security for the database. AWS is responsible for providing security for our data in the cloud. And unlimited storage. How much data you want, that much data you can store in the cloud computing, pay for use. If you want to store more data, you have to pay more money. There is no limit on the data storage. Okay. And next one, backup is available. If you lost your data also, no problem. AWS will maintain backup for your data. Good. So storage will be available, unlimited storage, backup, security also will be available in the AWS cloud. And another beauty in the AWS is auto payments option not available. If by mistake, if you use RDS, you create the RDS, you forgot to delete the RDS, then bill will be generated for the RDS. RDS is a paid service. So for example, 5,000 rupees bill got generated for the RDS. Now we have provided credit card details, debit card details now. Will AWS will deduct money from our card directly? No. AWS is not going to take any auto debit payments. If you go for Azure and GCP, monthly auto payments will happen. If you use any paid service, your amount will be deducted from the card. But in the AWS, that process is not there. So if the bill got generated, you need to pay the bill amount in the AWS. If you don't pay the bill amount in the AWS, AWS will send couple of reminders. Even after sending the reminders, If you don't pay the bill amount, AWS will terminate your account. That's it. They are not going to charge any amount from your card. They will terminate your account. If your account is terminated, you can create one more account with the same credit card, debit card by using new mail ID. You just need to use the new mail ID to create an account in the AWS. Every month I will create one new account in the AWS for my DevOps batch, because in the DevOps classes, we are going to use several paid services also. For example, Kubernetes is available. If I run the Kubernetes in the AWS cloud for one, suppose in the classes, Kubernetes we are going to discuss for 20 days in the DevOps. I will run the Kubernetes 20 days in the AWS. We will get around 8,000 to 10,000 rupees bill for the Kubernetes service. We are not going to pay that bill amount. Account will be terminated. Then we will create the new account by using the new mail ID. And another beautiful thing available in the AWS is customer support. For example, you are beginner in the AWS. You are using AWS services. Some bill got generated in the AWS. You can ask AWS support team to make your bill as 0 for first time. So you are using AWS. You don't have complete knowledge on the AWS paid services. Now you created some paid services in the AWS, bill got generated. Then you can go to support center in the AWS and you can ask them to make your bill amount as 0. 1 or 2 times they will make your bill amount as 0. Okay. How to ask support team to make the bill amount as 0? Go to here, question mark symbol available. This is called support center. Now click on support center. When you click on this support center, option will be available to create a case. Now I want to create a case regarding my billing. Account billing is available. Okay. Select the account and billing. Click on create case. When you click on create case, that means we are creating a complaint in the AWS. We are creating a ticket in the AWS for AWS support center. So is the ticket related to technical issue? Are you facing any technical issue in the AWS services, or your ticket is related to billing? My ticket is related to billing. Select account and billing. So you select here billing service category. You can select consolidated billing. Then you can click on additional information. Okay. Here you can write the subject. Please waive off AWS bill amount. I will write the subject, waive off my bill amount. That means I'm asking AWS to make my bill amount as 0. Then write the subject. Hi team, greetings for the day. I am beginner to the AWS cloud. I am learning AWS on my own. By mistake, I have used some paid services. So bill amount got generated. So please, could you please make my bill amount as 0? You can create a ticket in the AWS. They will check your account history. What are the services you have used? What services are currently in use? They will ask you to delete all the machines you have created, everything. Then they will make your bill amount as 0. First time, 1 or 2 times, that is acceptable. Every month, if you ask that, they are not going to do that. 1 month, first month and second month, you can ask AWS to make the bill amount as 0. That facility is available in the AWS cloud. Clear? So if anybody got the bill amount, if you don't want to lose your cloud account, then go to support center, then create a case, request AWS support team to make your bill amount as 0, so that you can continue using your AWS account. Clear? Tomorrow when you go for company people will create one IAM account for you. You are a developer. You will not get the root account. You will not get the IAM account with all the services. Whatever the services that are required for the developer, they will create a IAM account for all the developers. All the developers will be added to one group in the IAM. For that group, they will provide only read access. Okay. You can log in into AWS cloud with the IAM account. You will have limited permissions in the AWS cloud. But for the interview, when you go as a full stack developer, there is a chance that they will ask, do you know what is cloud? Do you know what is virtual machine? Do you know how to connect with the cloud database? In my project, we are using cloud database. Do you know how to connect with the cloud database by using Spring Boot application? Do you know how to check the log messages available in the log server? Do you know how to map application to the domain name? Do you know how to create virtual machines in the cloud? Do you know how to upload binary data in the AWS S3 bucket? What is S3 bucket? Such kind of questions they may ask in the interview. Now you know what is AWS, why AWS, how to create virtual machine, how to connect with the virtual machine by using mobile extra and putty, how to create S3 bucket, how to upload objects in the S3, how to host a static website, how to map the website to the domain name, how to purchase a domain in the AWS cloud, how to create a database in the cloud, and how to connect with the database by using Spring Boot application, how to check the logs of our application also by using Linux machines. So this knowledge is sufficient for developers when you are working with 2 to 3 years of experience. This knowledge is sufficient. Are you clear? Good. Anybody having any questions? Anybody having any questions on the topics that we discussed in the AWS? Okay, we discussed about what is cloud computing and cloud advantages, and we discussed about launching virtual machine in AWS, connecting with virtual machine, connecting with VM using mobile extra. What is the key pair? We discussed what is the key pair. What is the key pair? Come on. To connect with the machine securely, key pair will be available. And what is the security group? What is security group? Firewall. Which traffic we need to allow for the machine? We will decide by using security group. We discussed about S3 buckets. And we discussed about static website hosting and domain mapping using Route 53 and creating cloud database, creating MySQL using RDS, Spring Boot with AWS RDS DB. And we discussed about IAM service, user creation, what is console access and what is programmatic access, IAM service. And we discussed about console access and programmatic access. What is the meaning of programmatic access? What is the meaning of programmatic access? Keys we need to generate. How to make bill as zero? We need to talk to support center. Okay. Now here we know what is OS, what is Windows, what is Linux, history of Linux, what are the Linux distributions available, how to set up Linux VM, connect with Linux using mobile extra, putty, Linux commands practice, install the softwares in the Linux, file permissions, ownership, hosting the websites. What is cloud computing? Cloud advantages, launching virtual machine in the AWS cloud, connecting with the VM using mobile extra. What is the key pair? What is security group? S3 bucket, static website hosting, domain mapping using Route 53, create MySQL using RDS, Spring Boot with RDS database, IAM service, console access and programmatic access, how to make bill amount as zero. These topics we have discussed. Now, the assignment for you is develop a Spring Boot application to upload PDF file into S3 bucket. That is the task for you today. Develop Spring Boot application to upload PDF document into AWS S3 bucket. So you need to develop one Spring Boot application with a REST API. When I send a request for the REST API, that REST API should upload the PDF document into S3 bucket and update PDF document S3 object URL in MySQL database. Okay, I want you people to generate one PDF. You need to upload the PDF document into S3. Once you upload the document in the S3, that will generate one URL. You need to take that URL. You need to insert that URL into the database. Simple example. Okay, so I want you to create one Spring Boot application. You need to do the analysis in the internet. How to develop the Spring Boot application with the AWS S3 integration. So Spring Boot application. For our application, MySQL database will be available and S3 bucket also will be available. This MySQL database you can use in the local. Already you have MySQL DB in your system. And here AWS S3. What I want to do is, this Spring Boot application should upload a PDF document or anything, a image file also, your photo. You can upload your photo into AWS S3 bucket. Programmatically, you need to create the bucket in the S3. In that bucket, you need to upload your photo. So once you upload your photo, that will generate one URL. That URL you need to store into your database table. Images table will be available in the database. For example, images table. Here, image ID, okay, and image URL. Image ID is a primary key. Image URL, that URL will be provided by S3 bucket. When you upload the document in the S3, it will generate one URL. That URL you need to insert in the database table. That URL you need to insert in the database table. That is the requirement. Can you guys do this? So you know what is Spring Boot. You know how to develop Spring Boot application. You know how to connect with the database by using Spring Boot, how to insert the data. You know what is AWS, what is S3. I have created the buckets manually in the S3. I uploaded the objects manually in the S3. Same thing you need to do by using Spring Boot. Programmatically, you need to connect with the S3 bucket. To connect with the S3 bucket programmatically, you need to add AWS SDK dependency. What is required, guys? AWS SDK dependency required, and we need access key and we need secret access key. Access key is required, secret access key is required. So if you have SDK dependency in the pom.xml, then you can use AWS provided classes. You can use AWS provided classes to communicate with the S3. You can create the bucket. You can upload the object into the bucket. I have not explained that program in the class. That you need to try and you need to implement. That is called self-learning. In my company, 10 years I worked. Nobody explained how to map the domain. I have searched in the YouTube. I have read so many blogs. Then I understood how to map the domain. I'm able to map the domain to my website. That is called research and implementation. Self-learning is important. If you want to grow in your life, if you want to become successful developer, self-learning is important. So always you should not dependent on someone. I'm seeing in the WhatsApp group, when sir will develop the project? When sir will develop the project? Kya fayda bhai? What is the use? After completing the Java course for 8 months, if you are not able to develop 8 REST APIs, you are not fit for Java development job. You can't work in the company. You can't survive in the company. Even if you get the job, survival become very difficult if you don't have self-learning capability. If you don't have analysis skill, you cannot survive in the company. Because in the company, communicating with the S3 bucket, uploading the document in the S3 bucket, how many days you will get that task? Today I will teach you how to upload the object into S3 bucket. In the company, every day will you do the same task? That task will be there only for one day. Next day, another task will be available. Who will teach you that? Nobody. So you need to start Googling, you need to do the research and you need to start implementation. If you do the research and if you do the implementation on your own, your subject will improve. You will get some problems initially. You will get some problems. When you get a problem, go to Stack Overflow. See what is the problem, what is the solution. That will be registered in your brain for a long time. So that's why I'm giving much opportunity for you to improve your skill set, to develop the things on your own. Before coming to tomorrow session, everybody should be able to develop this project and should show me their project in the laptop. Okay, so you should create a project, Spring Boot project. That project should communicate with the database. That project should communicate with the S3 bucket also. First, upload your image or PDF into S3 bucket, then take the URL. That URL you need to insert into the database. That is the task. I want you to develop one REST API. I will send one simple GET request for the REST API. That REST API should insert the image in the S3, take the URL, insert the URL in the database, and give the success message. Document uploaded to S3 bucket. So that is the simple project I want you to develop. Can you guys do that? So simple. If you spend 5 minutes of time, you can do that. If you don't have that 5 minutes, then that is your karma. Okay. So simple, you see Spring Boot with AWS S3. Spring Boot integration with AWS S3. If you just go to the Google, so many examples are available. Spring Boot with AWS S3. Integrate your Spring Boot with S3. AWS S3 with the Java. Spring Boot file upload to Amazon S3 example. Direct straightforward example is available. If you go to our GitHub repository, I developed one project, uploaded that in our GitHub repository. So if you go to my GitHub repositories, if you type S3, if you type S3, what is this? Spring Boot S3 application. In this application already code is available, but the code is not going to match with our requirement. So in that repository, the code is available to upload only the document to the S3. But in the assignment, I want you to upload that URL to the database also. So you need to go through that repository, or you can go through some videos in the YouTube. You do some Googling and try to complete that project by today. So that is the task for you. I want everybody to implement that. Tomorrow when you come to the class, don't say that, sir, I have not done that. If you don't do that, I will send you out from the class. Already you have seen that. Tomorrow we are going to start Docker. Okay. So Docker we are going to start tomorrow. If you want to attend the Docker classes, you first complete this assignment and show me that. Okay. Fine, guys. With this, I'm stopping for now. Tomorrow we'll continue. Thank you.